Weekend update. Ooh, there's an echo happening in here now. We've got walls. Sorry guys, no Philippine Forex this week. Not really necessary. It's that pre-Christmas flattening of everything. And that will probably continue through to, the second week of January. Maybe the start of the second week, because of course the major holidays now for Western cultures is on the weekend. Okay, so let's give you a walk around the house, a few explanations. We'll just give you a shotgun of what's happened this week. Now I want you to remember that we only did 6 days this week. One day we only had one Masoon, and we have been taking our time to make sure that everything is tight. We want to be tight on this build. If you just slow down a little bit, your finishing layers are going to be much easier to deal with. And in this particular case, I'm okay with the guys looking like they're being lazy, but they're not. They're just doing what I keep telling them to do, which is slow down. There you go. See how? Yeah. Oh, okay, sir. Okay. Don't rush. You're not bangers right now. I literally had to tell them, you're not hammer swingers, guys, so let it go. And they're getting it now. They're starting to get it. Okay, so let's have a quick walk around and we'll start in the kitchen. We got a couple of windows here from City Hardware. These are strictly for mock-up, guys, just in case we break them. I don't want to have a lot of windows on site. So we've got a 60 by 60 and an 80 by 1.2 meter. The 60 by 60 is going to go into the kitchen here, mostly for air and such, because that's northern exposure. Okay, so we can have some cooler convection air coming in on that side of the house. The kitchen is going to be quite small, refrigerator here, sink, and roughly a 4'6" counter, not that big. Because of under the sink, I don't care that my plumbing is coming through the floor. We do have some correction to do on this pillar. It wasn't quite formed correctly, you can see by my fingers there, and so there will be some chipping required, but we made them plumb everything before we started, and we decided that this was the primary coat based on the other pillars, and so this one is off, and we will chip away at that a little bit. This coming week will probably be some practice. Find out if any of these guys know how to do a proper wide trowel skim coat. We will find out. Okay, so as we would walk past, the door is over here with this rebar. It's going to be a metal door attached to a concrete postie. It'll be really, really, really secure, guys. You'll get to see the technique here of how you do these adhesive pours to get your window frames and stuff like that done, because you want some of this adhesive down the channel of the window. It doesn't really show it that well here, guys, but there's a channel in here, right? And they don't use the clips like we do in wood frame construction and stuff, so you have to work with that. So our other smaller CR is here, but it still has a shower. We have always known that we may be adjusting the depth of this CR, so don't be surprised if our original design of 4'6" for the bathroom shrinks a little bit. Most of it will have to do with the point that's down roughly where my finger is here, to make sure that we've got a reasonable opening going across here into the TV room, because somebody someday may want to put a door on there. So we'll have electrical between the two chairs for the TV room, and then that wall will have a outlet, one more course up. And as asked about the TV, don't have it too high. True enough, guys, spot on, because we are not going down and buying lazy boy furniture and stuff like that. We want to have the furniture that we feel is comfortable, that we are going to build or have made or maybe even pre-made, and maybe we'll add some cushions or whatever, and so the TV will tweak up and down. But given, you know, the size of the TVs these days, you know, we can move it up a foot or down a foot. That's no big deal at all. We've given further thought, guys, to this deck here being maybe a little bit smaller, and actually putting the guest room here and keep that as a garage. Still not sure what we're going to do there, but until we've solved this, boom. Now, I'm going to tell you something. It is worth you getting somebody else to estimate how many blocks you need. These guys added 30% to the build. We have enough here to probably build a small size, you know, 25 square meter house. You know, 25, 30 square meters. We probably have enough extra block. I am livid. However, Lynn and I have always had it. This isn't the only property that we're looking at. So we are going off today, and what we're looking for now is just that small city lot that's close to downtown, etc. Lynn wants to look to the future with the nieces and nephews and stuff. You know, this isn't all about seniors retiring and farming and stuff like that, because Lynn's whole family is into farming, although they've lived in the city a long time, but they take it up rather quickly. So, but it is about the younger generation having the ability to, you know, have a future home or ground zero, as it were. So very pleased with where we've got to with the walls. Oh, Lynn is signaling me my breakfast is ready. I can't do the cooking, guys. She just won't let me. I wanted to be the cook. I swear I wanted to be the cook, because Lynn works when she's in Canada, and I wanted to do the cooking. But you know what? We discovered very early on, if Lynn eats a Western diet, and some of you guys push this Western diet on your ladies, they start chunking up and start getting unhealthy. So think about that. So unfortunately, but Lynn likes to cook. She's quite a good cook. So she's adapted to cooking Western, and she's adapted to, of course, cooking her own food and sourcing the food in Canada. Some, you know, things like lemongrass. Now, because I'm doing a recap here, I want to point out that at the bottom of all of these walls, because none of the videos showed it, I did mention it yesterday, but I still haven't shown it because I've been so involved in the starter course to make sure that everything is ready to start going up so that it is all plumb. We spent a huge amount of time on simply that little itty bitty wall to make sure that with all of the little tweaks and the offsets like on this pillar, you know, where are we at with plumb? And so we spent a fair amount of time making sure that when that laid down, it was correct. Underneath all of the walls, a little, well, that, you know, sticking up inside the block, probably about a third of the way, maybe a half, depending on the length of the bar that we had. Everything has got little stubs of rebar all the way around, okay? So these walls don't completely float in there, guys, okay? But think of it like dissimilar metals. If you have dissimilar metals, like a lot of cars used to have, you start creating rust. And you have to think of your pillar structure as just that. That is the structural component. This is why there is nothing in the Philippine code about what you put between your pillars. Nothing, guys. I have to drive this home. I really do, because I have checked in Angeles, and I have checked here, and I've checked in other municipalities. There is nothing in the code. You can put AAC, you can put hollow block. You can go old school and do a mackin, which is just cocoa, okay? The small bamboo that they shred down. It's a little, you know, it's a little bit heavier than a heavy bond paper, but you can do a mackin walls here still, guys. So there is nothing in the code about what goes in the pillar, between the pillars. What you want to do is, of course, build something that is going to be safe for yourself. What they don't want is the roof coming down. What they don't want is if you're sitting in this building during a typhoon that you can ride through it. That's all they care about. That is the primary reason why everything here is beam and pillar. Sorry for being about this one. But I want to drive that home, guys, because, you know, some people are looking at, you know, having this romantic home in the tropics where, say, like Lynn and I would do, and we've always done it. If a typhoon is coming, it's an excuse to have a holiday somewhere else in the Philippines. Just find out where the path is. You may get rain in the other part of the country that you fly off to. Who cares? Why put yourself in harm's way? That's the way we look at it. So now, to get back to this, I have been talking to a Canadian engineer, and he feels that probably the best thing to do is drill up inside the beam 3 spots, have it weld onto it to a rebar that's going to go across, similar to what we're going to do here for the windows. And he feels that that is probably going to be the easiest, and because the brackets guys are just not really happy with some of it. And anyway, so we got some, I think, good advice on this. And so we're going to try that on one of the walls and see how that works out. That's why these big gaps are there, guys. And as soon as that next course goes on, that is our ceiling height, which should be about 8'7". Yeah, what else can I tell you today, guys? What else can I tell you? Yeah, we built the lintels for going above the windows. Okay, and the doors will have similar. Down here I have one that is going to be for the bigger 80 windows. So this one will turn out to be 1.2, and it will go over an 80 window. We added a course of rebar right here. I hope I'm showing that. Yeah. So that's sitting there, and then it's anchored, and the lintel that goes through here is anchored to the postie. Yes, they call them posties here, guys. I like to engage with my crew and have some fun with all of this. So engaging in the words and the lingo, to me, that's all part of it. I guess one more thing, we have found vinyl soffit material here and siding. Don't know why they would ever do siding here in vinyl with the heat. It'll just warp. But anyway, in our soffits, I'll just use the inside of the house. We have the triangle there. When the soffits go on, we're just going to do verticals across, like you might see in many Western countries with a wood frame construction. Okay, guys, I think I've kind of covered off everything that we are doing with the AAC. And I guess just as a final note, yes, we would do AAC again. I have absolutely no problems with this at all. Does it sound different? Yeah, it does. But do that on a drywall. That's the way I want to approach this now, guys. Okay, when you go thud on a piece of concrete, that is thud. Okay, but you know, the thermal properties of AAC, etc., is why we went this route. And honestly, we're just having fun with it. We are having fun with it. Lots of government buildings now are starting to use it because they're trying to get their energy costs down. Hotels and commercial space are starting to use AAC. And this is why you're seeing so many alternatives. But many of them are driven on what they know, which is rebar and concrete. But again, like Waltech, they have their free pour panels that you can buy that have a skin on them. So again, your finishing layer, like the AAC, is going to be way faster, and you won't have all those splatter layers and stuff going on. But for whatever reason, they do the whole thing and they don't put the electrical and stuff in, and then they got to chip. Crazy, man. Whew. And I'm glad we brought some tools, guys. The multi-tool is turning out to be the tool to do the channeling and stuff. It's so quick, just bzzz, and off it goes. It's wonderful. And I'll call it a day there, guys. We're going to go off and look at some more property. Somewhere around 400 square meters, maybe a little bit less. But this we want in the city proper area, much, much, much closer. Okay, later, Gators.